What is going on, everyone? DarkScheme here. Hope everybody is having a good day. And today, I will be talking to you guys. Usually I say a little bit about something, but this time it is a lot about something. And that is the Halo 5 Guardians has been rated T by the ESRB, down from a mature rating which has been seen across the board for Halo games. Now, at first, this wasn't really a big deal for me, and to be honest, I don't think it's a really big deal, but I got to thinking and things kind of started adding up, so I wanted to explain to you guys a little bit about what has been in my head, pretty much what I've been thinking about. So of course, like I said, this is the first main Halo game to do this, and it isn't really a big deal considering why each Halo was a mature rated game. Now, the first three Halo games, Halo 1, Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and Halo 3, kind of made sense. They had these flood creatures, they were called Flood, like I said, and they pretty much reanimated dead corpses, and the only way to get rid of them was killing them, which would result in dismembering the bodies of those corpses. So it's pretty obvious that that is graphic. You know, in my time, it wasn't too graphic, but in the first Halo iteration there was a lot more blood, and that's one of the other things. Halo 1s through 3 had, and Reach as well, they all had gore, which if you really wanted to, and if the player wanted to, they could continue to shoot and melee a dead corpse, and blood would splatter and paint essentially the wall or the surface that they were lying on. And of course, kind of just continuing off on that, Halo Reach had human citizens that could be killed during combat, so it's kind of like a simulated real-life scenario where you're trying to evacuate citizens out of the combat zone, and of course, them being casualties in the fight was a possibility. And of course, the biggest thing that was added into Halo Reach was the assassination animations, which you would essentially go behind a enemy character, and you would see an animation play out where you would take out a knife and stab them in the neck, in the face, pretty much anywhere around those areas. So that was pretty graphic in itself. Once it moved on to Halo 4 though, it seemed to change up a little bit. The flood was gone, there weren't any more reanimating corpses to be destroyed, but it did have one instance where it showed a human being disintegrated in real time, and that was pretty graphic. I will pretty much be showing you guys all this type of scenarios and pictures in the video. And of course, Assassinations return as well. So this kind of makes sense. This is kind of just a lot of things that are very touchy to certain people, and I believe that it is something to really consider. So now, moving on to Halo 5. Halo 5 has finally gotten its rating, and it is as follows. Assassinations are back, but it is noted by the ESRB that can also use assassinations to kill characters by snapping necks or by stabbing them with bladed weapons. And of course, the occasional blood splatter and some language in there. So it seems like going from past iterations of Halo going to Halo 5 Guardians, blood and violence and assassinations has been toned down either by the ESRB or by 343 going into Halo 5. But I believe it is the first option. I believe that the ESRB is not as strict on their blood and violence policies. I feel like they've kind of gotten a little bit more lenient, which is a good thing, because it means that as a civilization we're kind of evolving to recognize that blood and violence is a thing that can be simulated, and really it's up to the parents to show their kids that, hey, this is just a simulation, it is not real. Don't be scared of it, and don't believe that this is real life. So one of the more interesting things that I found was originally Halo 1 had a T rating on PC, but was finally given an M rating across the board on all platforms. Given this rating, it seems like it was on the borderline of a T rating, but ultimately given an M rating, meaning that an M rating is kind of just what they went with as Halo kind of just progressed. But as Halo started changing and evolving, it seemed to also change and evolve with the ESRB rating. Now, in comparison, Halo to Gears of War, violence was rightfully given to Gears of War because of the ability to dismember players with a chainsaw gun with blood splattering everywhere. That makes a ton of sense. So when you think about an M rating game, and you say Halo is an M rating game, Gears of War is an M rating game, 9 times out of 10 people will tell you Gears of War is more violent. And it makes sense. It's kind of like comparing apples to oranges, really. If you compare Grand Theft Auto violence to Halo violence, is it really that similar? Because I believe it is not. Of course, there's more evidence to give Halo a warrant of getting an M rating for so long, but things have slowly changed. Like I said, they've slowly evolved. Halo 5 Guardians has been giving a T rating. It can mean that the game is pretty much the same, really. It's not getting better or worse, it's just the same. The only thing that has changed that has made it a T rating is the ESRB used to be a lot more strict years ago because of blood and violence, but now they're just being a little more lenient. And this also means that Halo 5 Guardians, of course, not having those reanimating dead corpses, gives it leniency with its rating as well. Like I said, the only thing that has changed is the ESRB restrictions. So what does a T rating mean for Halo? Well, I think it's a good thing overall. T rating for Halo means that a broader audience of teens will not be restricted from buying the Halo game, which means more accepting parents because of those who follow the ESRB ratings overall. And of course, for esports, there is a chance that the game can expand into more countries, but that is dependent more on how the country rates each game. And each country rates their games very differently. The ESRB is something that is the US. I believe the UK is a PEGI system, and that is something different. Still, kind of looking back to it, and one of the biggest points that I want to bring up is Halo 5 Guardians seems to have gotten a T rating given to it by what was seen in game. Now I'm wondering if context is necessary or not to give a rating, but I believe it does. Earlier, when Halo 5 Guardians was being developed, it was stated that it was going to be the darkest Halo yet. Meaning, plot point, character-wise, things were going to get darker and a lot more depressing. Now, the best description I can give is that Master Chief has lost a close partner and seems to be the character in the story struggling emotionally. This pretty much brings the next question: are characters' psychological state taken into consideration when given a rating? Mental health in this day and age in the real life seems to be something that most have not yet taken seriously. Things like depression are kind of just looked at and said, well, don't worry, he'll be okay in a day or two. But depression doesn't work like that. Mental health does not work like that at all. And I think that's something that we should really be taking into consideration, really looking at. This doesn't mean that Halo 5 Guardians should be an M-rated game. Halo 5 Guardians should be a teen-rated game. I just think it's something that we, as a species, really have to look at it a little bit more. So this kind of brings me back that this could mean that mental health is not really important in the ESRB rating, but should it be? I think it kind of does. I think it should be brought into line with the ESRB ratings, but not taken too seriously. That is pretty much it for me today, guys. That is pretty much my rant. So what do you guys think? Should mental health be taken into consideration within games with the ESRB rating, or are we not there yet as far as a civilization to really consider something like this? Let me know in the comment section. I'd like to hear what you guys think. And as always, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.